Sup, Lemon Heads? Welcome back to another episode of From the Yellow Chair. I'm Emily, and this week we are going to talk about Yelp. We have a very special guest, Ryan Nemetz, and he is here to unravel the mysteries of Yelp and how this platform has really transformed the way that consumers discover and connect with home service-based businesses. So get ready to dive into the world of Yep, it's Yelp. That's right. So we're going to dive into Yelp and explore how it impacts both businesses and consumers. So without further ado, let's sip some lemonade. All right. So hi, Ryan. Welcome. Thanks for being on the show.
Hey, Emily. Thanks for having me.
So why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself? Like, how'd you get into this position that you're at?
Yeah. So again, my name's Ryan Nemetz. I am a partner account executive over at Yelp, which means I specialize in working with digital market agencies who primarily help home service-based businesses with their marketing. I've been doing digital marketing for about 10 years now. It started in the sports and nonprofit space. I have a background of coaching, transitioned to digital marketing for higher education, primarily in
Okay.
the MBA space. And for the last few years, I've been doing it for small businesses, medium-sized businesses with Yelp. So have a passion also for helping small businesses. I kind of grew up in a family-owned bakery. My mom ran the front of the store. My dad was the baker who made all the donuts and everything. So
Oh,
I have
wow.
it was quite a unique upbringing, but a passion for helping my family through the different challenges of running a business. It's not only your family, it's your community, it's almost everything. So a strong passion for that, but I do it on the marketing side now. So I currently reside outside of Philadelphia right now with my wife, and I have a 2-year-old daughter who's very exciting to help and raise.
To chase and run around.
Ch-
Yeah.
Been chasing her since 6 months, so it's been a long chase for a year and a half already.
Hey, I know that life. I know that life. So, well, and I love kind of how you're setting that up for, you grew up, in your family's small business and stuff. And I know a lot of listeners here can relate to that, just, as a family owned business or they started it themselves and like their family works in it and stuff. And, there's a lot of things that people don't realize until they're actually in that small business, all the challenges that they have. I think outsiders think like, oh, you're a business owner, you must be rolling in the dough, maybe literally as the donut shop. But, that's not always the case and stuff. And so having to be very strategic and intentional in your digital marketing and your digital presence and your marketing as a whole in general, is super crucial. So I very much appreciate that you have a background in that and can witness that firsthand.
Yeah, it was an exciting time. And back then, it was before digital marketing really exploded. And there's so many elements to it now. Before, it was a little bit more basic. It was more mom and pop. It was kind of your mailers, your different fundraisers to get the word out there. Now, with digital marketing, it could get overwhelming. So that's what I love doing and being able to help home service-based businesses with the marketing side of things.
No, for sure. Okay. So tell us a little bit more about Yelp. Like, I know we're going to have some listeners that are like, oh, yeah, we're on Yelp all the time.
Mhm.
I use it for everything from restaurants to plumbers. And then there's some people that are going to be like, what is Yelp? And, so can you kind of walk us through that? Like, how did it come to be? What is its purpose? And like, what features kind of set Yelp apart from some other crowdsourced review based generation or systems, if you will?
Yeah, I love it because first I want to kind of talk about just the digital marketing space in general, right? Because you get
Okay.
overwhelmed. There's
Yeah.
content-based marketing, there's making dancing TikTok videos, there's
Mhm.
mailers, there's magazines. It's like, what do I do? Where do I invest my resources, my time, my money? And where Yelp fits into that digital marketing ecosystem is it's a lead generation platform. Yelp is an app. It is a website. It has 80 million average monthly users. So you're talking about a platform where people are raising their hand and they're looking to make a buying decision. We say that all the time because you're not on Yelp to do it yourself. You're not searching for a project to do. You're looking for a service or a business. So it could
Right.
be on a Friday night, you're looking for a restaurant, maybe for your anniversary or just for pizza night. Or you could be like me. It's thanks. This happened this year, Thanksgiving morning. Put too many carrots down the drain. Had 25 people coming over that afternoon. I go to Yelp. I said, I need a plumber with emergency
Oh
services.
no. Oh my
They
gosh.
weren't able to come quick enough, so we had to move it. But I used it for that, and that's what people
Yeah.
utilize Yelp for. So that's in terms of what Yelp is. It's a paid media play strategy in your
Okay.
overall digital marketing landscape. In terms of what Yelp is, the mission is to provide consumers with great local businesses, right? So you're looking for your local plumber, you're looking for your local contractor to help with the home remodeling job. And we're also really focused on helping local businesses succeed. And there's different ways to do that, whether it's free tools, paid tools to help businesses connect with customers and ultimately grow your business, right? It's those people raising their hand, they know they need a service. Let's put your best foot forward to close that business. So in terms of like what people are going to Yelp for in that digital marketing space is they're looking to their business information, right? They're looking to look at reviews and what people are saying about them in their local market. So that's really what Yelp is and how people utilize the platform.
No, that sounds great. And some of my next questions are going to kind of lead into our next segue of the Yelp community, if you will. And so, like, one thing that I really utilize Yelp for is like reading the reviews and like firsthand from consumers. Cause like, they ain't going to try to pull a fast one over on me. They're going to give the real and authentic, perception and what their experience like was with whatever that local business was and stuff. And so it's almost like, my internet BFFs, like they got my back. They're watching out for me. They're going to give me the real deal and stuff. So, tell me about some of the Yelp community and how that's, from a user perspective, and then also how businesses can utilize it.
Yeah, definitely. So if we're talking about the audience, I'm going to go back to it's a high intent, low funnel audience. So from if you're new to marketing, high intent, again, somebody who's
Mm-hmm.
ready to make a purchasing decision. They might need a new HVAC unit installed. They might need air duct cleaning right away. And they're low funnel, right? They're closer, and whether it's immediately emergency service like myself on Thanksgiving morning, or maybe a few days or a few weeks away from making that buying decision. And then when we talk about kind of the demographics, it's a more affluent with 80 million monthly users. So we're talking about 85% of users have a college degree,
Mm,
75% of them are 35 or older, and 65% of Yelp users own a home as a primary residence. And I know with like today's kind of economy, less people are buying with the high interest rates, and more people are starting to, when they have those home service jobs, that they're investing now into their homes versus saying, oh, I'm going to put it off, buy a home, and leave it to the next person. So the other thing too is people are coming not only to search for those businesses and make the decision, but as you said, they're looking at some of the reviews. They're looking at business information. They're looking at store hours. They're looking at their services of what they provide. Because I think I was listening to an earlier podcast of yours with, I believe his name is Ryan Redding, who said
uh-huh.
a lot of the consumers, they're novice, right? They don't know the difference between one job or another. And you as the business owner know the ins and outs of everything, but a lot of the consumers aren't educated on it.
Correct. Yeah.
So with those reviews, though, moving to that, it's the reputation, right? So 200 as of the end of 2022, there were 265 million reviews on Yelp, and most of them are overwhelmingly positive because there are more 5-star reviews than 1, 2, and 3 star combined. So you're getting that local community feel. You're getting the feedback from consumers. And the one thing that we coach our agencies up on, because I work with the agencies who then speak with the clients, right? Once in a while, we'll speak directly with the home service clients, but we work with the agency as the liaison for their marketing. But we always say one of the biggest things to do is to make sure you respond to all reviews, whether it's
Mm,
good, whether
yeah.
it's bad.
Yeah.
For a good review, for example, it's just showing gratitude towards
Yeah.
somebody who's leaving a review, right?
They took time to do that for you.
Correct, right? And I'm sure you would, if you left a review, you'd feel very, hey, he hit me back. I appreciate that, right? And
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
brings value. And as somebody from looking at the company for the first time, they're thinking the same thing. Wow, that owner cares. They're
Mm-hmm.
invested in their business, right? And on the flip side, maybe they got a bad review. Maybe it was about a logistical error. Maybe it was just a bad day for one of their technicians, and they just say, "Hey, we want to remedy this situation. We apologize. Give us your phone number, and we'll reach out to you." That to me personally means you care.
Sure.
Everybody, I think everybody knows, especially with COVID, there's issues going on in every sort of business and supply chain, whatever it might be. So seeing an owner respond publicly to reviews or even privately to try to remedy the situation, it shows trust to me as a consumer. So we try to coach our home service based businesses the same way with that.
No, for sure. I mean, a lot of times your response to how you respond to something can be more telling than the actual review itself, you know? And so I think that is crucial. Contractors have to be very diligent to make those responses good or bad. And how can it be unique and not just like a thanks, thanks for your review, you know, that type of thing, but kind of curating it to like, we were so glad that you enjoyed or were able to take advantage of our emergency service or, you know, kind of
Mhm.
making it unique to what they are touching on in that review. And then like I loved how you're talking about in that community, like the kind of demographics of, you know, a very high percentage are college educated. They are homeowners. They do have a certain income level, like ding, 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 contractors. That is your target demographic. Like, hello, you know, I didn't want to interrupt you right when you were saying that, but that's what I was immediately thinking. Like, wake up. This is who we need to be talking to, you know?
Yeah, definitely. And I think the misconception, but a lot of people use Yelp, they say restaurants. Oh, and agencies we speak to all the time, they're digital marketing experts. They say, I thought Yelp was just for restaurants. And then I tell them home and local services are the top, have the most reviews on the platform in terms of a category. And they're like, wow, I had no idea. So being able
Which
to,
was Yelp started around restaurants. That's how I kind of came to know it. It was that its core. What was the first thing that kind of got Yelp its claim to fame?
yeah, I believe restaurants were the claim to fame.
Okay.
I think that would be the primary. But I know in the most recent years, home services, because they built such a strong community of users, and then
Right,
with
right,
Yelp,
yeah,
if you do any local search, our local SEO, like Yelp is one of the top results all the time. And then we power like
yes.
voice search on Alexa. If you do it, I have an Apple phone in front of me. If I do it now, like we power voice search now on like the Apple, for example. Like we're just dominant now in different industries,
Oh,
specifically home
yeah, no,
services.
for sure. Well, and another thing that I loved that you mentioned is, like, this is what a lot of contractors don't understand is the actual marketing funnel. Like, what's this wide net that's at the very top, and then how do we narrow it down to where they actually get to their point of purchase, their actual intent? And so when they are on Yelp, they are, like you said, very high intent. Like, I am looking for someone to help me now. It's not an overall branding play with like, hey, I'm just trying to get my name out there. That's not what Yelp is utilized for. That it's utilized for like, hey, someone is actually looking for me, looking for my services. How can I show up and be, you know, they're able to find out my hours, my phone number, things like that. So I love what you're talking about, how it's very high intent. And when you really understand that marketing funnel, that's where like, okay, this has its own place to be. It's not just for brand recognition or name recognition.
Yeah, I agree with that. And most people, most agencies that we work with and home services, usually they're saying, okay, we're going to do Yelp, we're going to do Google, we're going to do Meta, we're going to do Bing. Those are like the different large players, right, in the paid media space. And Yelp has, in my opinion, like an essential place in it because you're looking at that. Everybody's issue typically is, I need leads, I need business. That's downfall, right? Nobody's saying I need a brand for that guy who's making a decision 5 years from now. They want business now. So that's where I think Yelp has an essential role in that when it comes to consumers.
So, how do consumers like effectively utilize Yelp? You know, what are some tips or tricks of how, you know, Yelp search based functions and filters can help the consumer make informed decisions?
Yeah. So when it comes to consumers in terms of like how do they find Yelp, right? Number one is going directly to the app. It's a strong, very strong community within the Yelp platform of those 80 million users. And then there's also you can do a Google search, Bing search. You end up going to Yelp from that search because of its strong local SEO presence. Another example is you get there through voice search. Like I said, we power Alexa, Siri searches, all the major in-app dashboards for automobiles. So that's how they get to Yelp, and then they go there to read those reviews, to find recommendations that seem like a good fit. And then
Mhm.
there's different services like request a quote. So that's built for consumers to go right to the platform. And let's just say you need a plumber, right? You don't want to get overwhelmed with the search by going to every individual business
Yes,
page. You're really
yes.
narrowing down because, like I said, a novice consumer is like, do I need air duct cleaning? Do I need HVAC? What do I need? I don't even know. I just need a plumber.
Exactly, exactly, yeah.
So they go there, request the quote, easily be able to connect with those local businesses. And from there, those leads are sent out to the business owner. And then that's where we coach them up, have an efficient, both it's a sales strategy, but also customer service. How quickly are you responding to those
Yes,
leads?
yes.
What is your type of what's your format of response? Right. I always say when I work in sales, it's like, all right, I get a lead coming in. I ask about the context of it. What page did they fill out on my page? What was their motivation for reaching out? Maybe they provided more additional information. So I could personalize my approach when I reach out to that consumer to make sure that, hey, I book them, I get the estimate, and then I'm there and I close the business. Right. So that's something that is another service that matches those consumers with businesses. And then I know you didn't ask this directly, and I kind of didn't cover it, but from those free tools, so you're saying, okay, I'm a business owner, I'm on Yelp. What do I do? Right? How do I connect with these local consumers? Maybe I'm not ready to spend money on it, but from a free perspective, right? So you want to make sure your business information is updated. You might do
Mhm.
Google My Business, but if you're not doing Yelp right after, it takes 15 minutes to set up your business information. Make sure that you're adding photos. Every
Yes.
right photos, not stock photos that you could find on Google.
Please do not use the one technician. My whole design team, they know exactly what I'm talking about. The guy in the navy suit with the navy blue hat. Yeah. But we all can spot the stock photo a mile away, okay? Even the non-designers can.
It's funny you say that because sometimes people put stock photos, and I'm like, it's your whole opportunity. I know you mentioned it's not branding, but you're telling a story when
Sure,
you're on your
yeah.
page, right? That's how, when you're adding those photos, show the owner. If you're a third generation family business, show your grandfather who was working with a
Yeah.
black and white photo from 1930. That
Well,
shows, like, that tells your story right there.
and it just makes it feel more authentic, like, to see, like, oh, that actual technician, like, "Oh, I know him. He was the dad on my daughter's baseball team," or something, like, it feels more authentic and real, and I think that's what people are looking to connect with, like, who's this real company that's not, like, overly spammy or just selling me something that I don't actually need, like, someone who's local in my community that can actually help me as a person, you know?
Agreed, 100%. And that's where I think those photos, when you're able to, again, these are all free parts. And I see so many businesses. The first thing we do our agency, we look at their page and like they haven't touched it in 3 years.
Mm, mm.
It's like, why aren't they just updating the free version of it? Because people are going to
Right.
their page. So with that, I mean, you have your services too, right? That's where you're able to list out what do you do as say a plumber. And again, it
Mhm.
might be a little granular, but it's important from an SEO perspective on Yelp.
Sure,
So if
yeah.
you're updating your services, it matches with the searches within the Yelp platform. So that's important. The other thing is you're able to edit your service area, right? So if you only do like a 15-mile radius, I see so many times businesses only have a 5-mile radius, or they have a 35-mile radius that they never set up accurately. So if leads come in 30 miles away, they're like, this isn't good leads. Well, you never set up your service area right. Or
Right.
I'm not getting many. Well, optimize your service area. So that's really important. And then lastly, they offer a section, and goes back to telling your story, specialties, about the owner, and then history. That's even more area to be able to
Mm.
say, like, hey, I specialize in water heater installation. They might be your profit center and have higher margins for you to generate business. And if somebody's reading that and they say, I specialize in this, not just, hey, I'm really good at plumbing, it's
Yeah.
another layer of being able to tell that story to the consumer.
Well, no, and like you said, very high intent here. So, like, when you are very specific and they do have that specific problem and you're specifically addressing that and using those words, that's how they'll find you, and when you're keeping that updated. But I also love what you said at the very beginning of curating that form of response. Like, what is your response time? How is it? And things like that. And so that's a huge piece that contractors miss out on all forms of marketing, not just on Yelp. It's like, and they'll come at us, the marketing, and it's like, I ain't got any leads. I don't have any phone calls. But it's like, sir, we drove the leads. Now, what you do with it afterwards, that's on you. And so they do have to be very intentional. Like, don't set up the get a free quote now button if you're not going to respond to the people reaching out for the free quotes, or if you're not going to respond to them asking the questions or making those responses and stuff. So, like, you have to have a game plan of who is going to actually answer this. How are they going to? Is it a phone call? Is it an email? Is it a text message? Is it all of the above? So what can you elaborate on some of those best responses, if you will, that you've seen some contractors be successful with?
Yeah, so the lead types that come in are request the quote. People might call you right from your page. They might go to your website. Then, depending on how your website's built, it might be request a quote. might be a call to action to give them a call, depending on however that's set up. But really, number one is timeliness, right? Everybody, if you're in a buying
Yes,
decision and you have an emergency response, usually the first person who gets back to you, as long as your price isn't outrageous, you need to get that service done. So having
absolutely.
right, so having a process in place, whether it's somewhat automated, personalized, I think is the best. People who know your business could talk about it. You don't need a full salesperson, but hey, what's your need? How can we help? How can we get somebody out to you as quickly as possible?
For
Right. And
sure.
then how do we adapt to you as a consumer? Because people are evolved. Like, hey, I'm busy this week. I have two children, and I can do Monday. So just coordinating that in a timely manner, right?
Right,
And then
right.
having a follow up. This is kind of where we kind of leave the picture, but like, how do you now? What's your follow up strategy? Right? Are you just following up once and then forget it? If you're doing
Right.
that, you're missing out on an opportunity because and if you look at yourself, probably you've filled out information for a job and then you forgot about it or you got
Mhm.
sidetracked with a meeting. So having a follow up process in place to be able to make sure that hey, they finally told me no after the third time reaching out. I went with somebody else, or I'm just not ready. At least you got an answer,
Sure.
whether that's personalized or automated. I think that's up for the business. Um, but that's kind of how we coach our clients up on our end.
So you talked a lot about the free tools of, just keeping your information updated, your services updated, being very specific and actually what those services are, using the authentic photos, real photos, and doing it more than once every 5 years. Like being very intentional to update it. So those are some free tools that you can utilize and take advantage of. But what are some of the advanced features of Yelp? Kind of those pay to play of how you can take it to the next level, if you will.
Yeah, so that's where I really work on our clients is when they have budget to spend. And I kind of categorize, and correct me if I'm wrong if you see the same thing, but there's the smaller businesses, maybe it's a one person business, right? Or a small family owned business. And then you kind of have those scaling businesses where they might have 10, 20, 25 people and they're looking to potentially grow and maybe add more locations and cover more service area. And then you have those really large companies that may have 50 to 100 people that it's important for them to get business because if they don't, they have to start making tough decisions.
Sure. Yeah.
So that's kind of where we're at. And it's like, okay, we kind of take a look at who you are, what's your budget. And right at the end of the day, we're talking about lead generation, quality lead generation, coaching them up then to convert those leads. Um, Yelp is designed as a cost per click. So similar to Google, you pay to be on the top of a search for plumber in near me, right?
Right. Yeah.
Once you're within the Yelp platform, that's really how it's designed. And then what we do and what we really focus on is the small parts of it, optimizing your campaign, adding boosted keywords,
Mm.
blocking keywords, making sure your service area is aligned with your advertising area. I always have a funny story about restaurants who are like, hey, we're going to advertise 15 miles away. And then I see that they only do delivery. And then I try to deliver and they only deliver to a 5 mile radius. So I said, why are you advertising?
Yeah. Talk about wasted spend right there.
But it's small things like that that go
Mhm.
a long way when you're talking about dollars, especially if you're that smaller, like one man or five, a small family shop.
Yep.
Every dollar counts. So making sure that everything's optimized. With that, we also have verified licenses. So I know each state is a little bit different on how they license each industry, but that builds consumer trust right away
Yeah,
when they see
for
your
sure.
verified license. Portfolios where you're able to actually showcase some of your work. So be able to brand, it appears on your CPC ad and then in your profile. And what we like to say is showcase your profit centers, your heater installations, your higher priced jobs that people are searching for more. Put those up first, showcase your team, showcase maybe your family history in order to tell your story a little bit better. But those are really efficient and we see higher returns in terms of conversions on the back end with those. And then we have different things like logos. And then one of the new things they rolled out was Yelp Guaranteed, which really at a high level means that Yelp is helping protecting up to $2,500 consumers when they book a job through request a quote through Yelp. There's a lot of
Wow.
more details, but at a high level, what it does is it just builds more trust with our consumers on
Mhm.
Yelp with local businesses. So those are some of the paid features that we work on as well.
No, I mean, it kinda sounds like you guys are kinda falling in line with, like, what Google's doing, and being Google verified and Google guaranteed and things like that, and so, but you're right, I mean, that does kind of further protect the consumer in that guarantee. So, I think the platform will only continue to grow in the home service space. Like once that gets more, people are more willing to try that out, if you will, and having that trust and backup.
Hmm. Definitely.
No, so that's great. So, um, no, I think Yelp is definitely something that contractors don't need to be sleeping on. Like we've talked about, there's tons of free features, but then also advanced features of how they could be utilizing this and how it's changing your marketing plan or adapting it some to how consumers are adapting and how they're changing how they find people to do work for them and things like that. So, well, Ryan, I've really enjoyed this and getting to know more about Yelp. Are there any final thoughts you want to leave us with or tips for contractors?
I would just say my biggest tip is to make sure that if you ever do anything, well, number one, right, immediately update your, go to your Yelp profile, make sure it's all updated, make sure you add a few photos. It'll take 15 to 20 minutes to fully optimize your page.
Step number 1, that you have to do that. If you cannot do that part, do not go to step 2, okay?
Do not go to step two.
Yeah.
If you're doing digital marketing, make sure you're educate yourself a little bit. If you're going to do it on your own, make sure you educate yourself. Don't just, hey, I'm going to set money and hope, hey, you told me, Ryan, there's high intent buyers all over the place. No, make sure everything that you're doing is optimized. You study it a little bit. If you're working with an agency, make sure you vet that agency to make sure that they are a true partner. I really work long term with my partners to make sure that we're invested in the short term and long term goals. Do that as well with your agency if you decide to do that. And
Nothing
then,
digitally can be set it and forget it. Like, it has to always be being looked at and being updated and being alive, if you will.
yeah, and Yelp is more simplified in terms of launching a campaign, but there's still some things you need to update at least on a
Sure.
biweekly basis just to stay up to date on it. Is it working? Am I getting ROI? And then if you're going to leverage the request a quote, make sure you have a follow up process in place.
Mhm.
That's definitely true. And then I would just say in terms of just Yelp overall for home services, it's a great platform again for high intent, low funnel audience, people who are raising their hand that are saying, "I need a service. I just don't know who to go with right now." If they knew
Yeah.
who to go
Yeah.
with or had a person, they wouldn't be searching on Yelp. So just leverage Yelp in different ways. Definitely from that free version. If depending on where you're at as a company and what your goals are, about digital and marketing. So I think hopefully everybody took some things away from it.
Oh, yeah. No, I know I did. That was great. And so, if some of our listeners, some of our lemon heads wanted to reach out to you or find out some more, how could they get a hold of you or read some more information?
Yeah, definitely. So you could contact me at rnemetz@yelp.com. You could reach out to me directly, and depending on kind of where you fit categorically, I could help you navigate Yelp. If you have any general questions, do not hesitate to reach out to me. I have a coaching background in basketball, so I love educating and coaching people. So anything I could do to help, and tell me your story too, because I love learning about different businesses and different verticals and where you're at and where you're trying to go. So please don't
Awesome.
hesitate to reach out.
Yeah. Well, Ryan, thank you so much. And listeners, if you want to get a hold of Ryan, we will link that below in the show notes for you. And so, thank you so much for sharing that and how listeners can say yep to Yelp, if you will. So, um, as always, thank you for listening to another episode of From the Yellow Chair. We are powered by Lemon Seed Marketing, where we are a full on strategist to help you organize all of your digital, direct mail, mass media efforts so that they're all working together. So, thank you for listening to another episode, and we'll see you next time. Bye.